Hello and welcome to Heavy Metal Rex. My name is Oasis and today we're going to be talking about tunes. More specifically, the pros and cons of tuning your car, whether it's a 22 WRX or really some of these things will apply to many different cars. And also we're going to take it a step further and talk about some things that are a little bit more specific to Subaru. If you are tuning, what are stages and what is all that? There's a lot of terminology that gets thrown around that people don't fully understand. And, I'm hoping that we can sit down and today we can talk about it. So you bought your new 22 WRX, you see all these people online posting about how they're making this horsepower, they're making that horsepower, they've got these parts, they've got that parts, and this may be your first performance car. This may be a first car that you decide that you actually want to go down this path of tuning. Well, what exactly is tuning? Well, in a nutshell, it's basically going into the ECU of your car and making modifications to attempt to make more power. You can kind of think of it, if you're a computer geek like I am, overclocking your computer or overclocking your phone, or really just trying to get more performance out of something that may not necessarily had it. Or in this case, when you're adding more parts, tuning to get more performance out of those particular parts. Really, the tuning is the computer, I always consider it the computer aspect of the car, where you're just trying to make these little changes here or there just to get a little bit more out of your engine. Now, there are reasons you should tune, and then sometimes people will say that there's reasons you shouldn't. At the end of the day, the suggestion always is that if you are not comfortable with the idea, and maybe you don't really have a large amount of disposable income even, depending on the car, then maybe tuning is not a gamble that you want to take. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how many anecdotal stories you hear about, how many 1,000 miles my car has been running, tuning can potentially harm your car, right? It's a fact that cannot be stated enough. But of course, without a little bit of gambling and a little bit of mystery, where's the fun in life, right? So most people generally will tune their car, especially if it's with what's going on with the 22 is a lot of people are just throwing on the OTS or an OTS style tune, and it is more than enough to add a little bit extra fun and relatively safe enough for you to have a good peace of mind if you go with a good quality tuner. So a couple of reasons why wouldn't you want to tune your car or your WRX. Number one is if you bought the car brand new and you're financing it, you probably have a warranty on it. And you want to use that warranty to the fullest of its extent. Now, if you tune the car, you put any parts on it and the dealership finds out, or you go to get some warranty work, there's a chance they can deny it, right? A lot of people are worried about that, and if you're worried about that, and you have it in warranty, especially if you went with an extended warranty, you're going to keep this car for a very, very long time. This is something you got to think about. You're probably not going to want to tune your car if you have some sort of extended warranty, or you just live in an area where you think you're going to end up busting your car a lot, that you're going to have to use that warranty a lot. So that's something to think about. If your car, like the 22 WRX, has a really nice stock tune to it, like a really good stock feel of the car, maybe that's another reason you don't want to tune. You don't necessarily want more power. You don't really want to do anything to the car to change it. And you're happy with the stock way the car is. And there's tons of cars out there that stock, they feel phenomenal. But then there's an equal amount of cars that the stock tune leaves a lot to be desired, or the stock power leaves a lot to be desired. And this is where the aftermarket can come in and fill in the blanks that the factory left. So that's another good reason. And like number three, like we already said, modifying a car is a gamble. It doesn't matter. I don't care what anybody says. If you are taking the car above what it was originally designed for, anything can happen. Unless you know every single part of that car, you don't really know what's going to break. This comes to the engine. This comes to even just parts on the inside of the car. Like randomly, I know this has nothing to do with tuning, but like a random part of my door fell off the other day, and I have no idea where it came from. I actually kept this piece of plastic. It's still in the door because I don't know where the hell it came from. I'm hoping I can find out one of these days and put it back together. So making more power also means that things that weren't designed to handle that particular power, let's say supporting mods, can also go bad. You know, sometimes people think about modifying the car as the engine or the exhaust or something like that, but I mean, like random other lines could go wrong. You know, your fuel line's gonna have issues, your suspension can have issues, your brakes gonna have issues because, you know, if you have a car that, you know, makes 200 horsepower and for some magical reason you're making 1,000 horsepower, there's gonna be a lot of parts that are gonna fail that car wasn't designed to handle. You know, let's say the engine even makes it to 1,000 horsepower. That's an extreme example, but I mean, that's the kind of example we're talking about. Now, this piece of plastic that flew off my car is not, I don't think it has anything to do with the tune or any modifications. It's probably, if anything, my long gorilla arm is knocking the hell out the door. And the last one is probably the one that you kind of overlook. Well, I guess sometimes you don't really. It's cost. You know, things cost money. Tunes cost money, parts cost money, tuning costs money, going to the dyno costs money, getting more gas costs money, everything, right? All of these factors combined, if you are, you know, I don't even want to say like college student, but if you don't have a lot of money, like you know that you don't have a whole lot of extra money monthly, tuning may not be, you know, modifying cars may not be the thing for you yet, right? You have to think about that. You know, I remember when I had my 93 Tercel, all I wanted to do was modify it. I made no money. I think I was making like $2.50 an hour working at Papa John's. That's not a lot of money to modify a car. And somehow I still zip tied a cone filter to my intake. You damn well believe I did that. And I had like some really crappy like ribbed shift knob in my car that actually fell off within probably like the first month. Everyone made fun of me. So you can modify, but you may be hitting that AutoZone more than anything else. So cost is really important. If you already are having trouble affording your car, maybe don't modify it, right? So the negative stuff out of the way, what are some of the reasons to modify your car? Number one, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I was there when Fast and Furious came out, but I mean, I was playing Gran Turismo before that. So like buying parts for cars and trying to make more power, that was something I knew I wanted to do when I grew up because I'd been doing it so much in video games. It just seemed like such a fun thing to do. And then my uncle was all about cars. At least at that time, he was more into motorcycles. And, you know, most of the time that I lived with him, I always saw him modifying some motorcycle. And I thought it was really cool. You know, and he was actually he was the one that had a 92, I think it was a 1992 MR2 T-top. Oh my God, what a great looking car. I wish that he still had that car today. So, you know, it's fun. It is a lot of fun. You get to be a part of a community. You get to buy parts. You get to mess around yourself, which is the next thing about modifying cars or tuning your car in general is if you're a tinkerer, it's a lot of fun, right? Even if you don't know exactly how to work underneath the hood, you get the opportunity to buy your parts, get on YouTube, read, watch videos, read forums, put things together, take things apart. It is genuinely a lot of fun to do. It's scary if you don't know how to do it, but I think that also is part of the allure, is you get a chance to do something you don't generally get to do. So that's a lot of fun. A big one, you get to make power, more power or more performance in some fashion, whether that's getting more power, more clean power, more usable power, all that. More power, shit's fun. And then you get to make new friends. That's the other thing is when you're part of these different communities, you meet so many friends, sometimes it's not even about the cars, right? So that's something to really think about. These are all the things to think about, but these are the things that I originally thought about when I was coming up with this video, because I was like, a lot of people ask all the time, how do I tune? What do I do? Why would I want to do this? Is there a reason? Or sometimes they'll just, make the first step in the WRX's case, which is just getting an access port or something, and they'll get it, and then they will ask all of the questions afterwards, like, what is this or what is that? And it's like, dude, I don't, you should have asked the questions first, because now you're like, maybe you may not like the answer, and now it's too late. You've already put a tune on your car. Now it might be too late. And I'm hoping videos like this can actually help people make this decision before they go out and spend any money, right? I mean, there's tons of good reasons why, and there's an equal amount of good reasons to not do it. It just depends on where you're at in life and and what kind of, I don't even want to say what kind of person you are, because it just really depends. I think it always just comes down to, if you have some extra money, tune, have fun, enjoy your car. So that's why and why not. Now, the part that confused me before I got into the Subaru community, and it probably confuses people of other car communities as well, and that is, what are stages? People are slowly starting to talk about stages in terms of the 22 WRX. I know for the VA, that's the car that I had. I had a VA WRX, a 2021 WRX, and going through stages was confusing for me. I just knew, like, we'll just get these parts. And even this part is subjective, depending on the region that you come from, because I've had people come to my YouTube videos and tell me, oh, well, that's not really a stage 2 in Australia, or that's not really a stage 1 here, or you're missing parts, or this and that. But I mean, what I'm about to tell you is, A, what companies are selling right now for other cars, and if you get on Reddit, or you get on, I wouldn't say most places in the US market, this is the answers that you're gonna find. And there's tons of other videos that can corroborate this information. I did not make this up, but still, if it is not something that is appropriate for your location, I mean, it still kind of doesn't matter, because stages in the car don't matter. You don't have to call it that. It's just a quick way for you to describe what is done to your car and give people a relative power idea, if they subscribe to that idea. So, for example, we'll just start going through these, and I'll try to relate them in a real world way. So stage 1 is generally just getting some sort of tune. Whether that's getting a cop tune on your WRX, or whether that's getting, just an OTS, or even just plugging up the JB4. Just modifying the ECU is generally known in the Subaru community, especially, as a stage 1. This is like, everywhere that I've looked, that seems to be the case. And even if you go to like Cop's website, or you go to any of these websites to buy like power packages, that's what you will see. A stage 1 plus ends up being like your tune and an intake and maybe a couple of other parts, but like generally a tune and an intake is what I've seen most of them. Now, there are some that will say that a bypass valve can also be a part of that. A couple other things like axle back, cat back, but like those things generally are known to not add power. But for power packages, usually it'll be stage 1 is tune, stage 1 plus is tune, plus an intake. Then you go on into stage 2, and this is where things started getting a little, like, this is where, when I was doing my research, I started seeing a little bit more variation into what this is. So stage 2 is normally you will have everything from stage 1, so that's a tune and intake, and you will add things like J-pipes, downpipes, front mount intercoolers, headers, cams, and like basic fuel system upgrades. So you're looking at, maybe you add, high flow pumps, or you're changing out the lines, or maybe adding injectors. All of that is known to be a part of what is stage 2. Pretty basic, I mean, everything else included. I think this is where it really is car dependent, because like if you're not adding an extra fuel system, or if you're not adding extra pumps, really just having a downpipe or some sort of intercooler upgrade will count as stage 2. And then anything else you add after that will just continue on as stage 2. There's no, at least that I've seen, I haven't seen a stage 2 plus. I originally thought that like downpipe plus intercooler was stage 2 plus, but I don't know where I saw that. I want to say maybe just Reddit. But just another quick way to tell your people, like, hey, now I just make a little bit more power because, I got a downpipe and a front mount. Now, stage 3 is everything from stage 1, tune, intake, and all that stuff. Everything from stage 2, downpipe, front mount, or whatever intercooler mount upgrade. And this is where you're getting into like the big changes. So, an upgraded turbo, supercharger, built engines fall into this category. Major fuel systems, let's say you're adding port injection to your DIT engine, or at this point, any modifications to the heads, or like major engine modifications, and like anything else you can think of from this point on counts as stage 3. So basically built engine, big turbo, you're going stage 3. I mean, stage 3 is just anything you can do that isn't bolt-on. I think that's kind of like the idea, because everything bolt-on is up to stage 2. Or that's like another thing that people will say, oh, well, I just have a full bolt-on. And that's like just another nomenclature to say I have everything before building my engine or before replacing a part, like replacing a turbo or something like that. And that's pretty much it. Stage 1, 2, 3. It's, again, you don't have to use them. It's just something that you're going to start seeing thrown around because at this time, we have some parts, we have intakes, we have multiple intercoolers now. We have a front mount, multiple front mount intercoolers. I've seen 2 built FA24 engines so far. We haven't seen any more like major power out of it. I haven't seen any new turbos in it, but it's exciting. We're getting a lot of parts. I think this conversation is going to become more and more relevant. Especially like since COP came out, nobody was really talking about it, and now slowly everybody's talking about it. There's still some confusion at what it is. And again, like I said, some of these things are subjective, and you don't have to necessarily apply these to what you're talking about. You can, if somebody asks you what you've done to your car, you are free to list everything that you have done to your car. Or you can just say, hey, my WRX or my BMW or my whatever is stage 1 or stage 2. That's it, just don't be too confused and don't be too scared of tuning and modifying your car. The number one thing that I hear from a younger crowd or somebody who just bought their car for the first time is, oh, well, I don't want to break anything. Now, to be fair, even if you break something, you will always be able to replace it. Now, theoretically, if you break literally everything in the car, you can replace the whole car. It will be expensive, but you can do it. So don't be scared of tuning. Don't be scared of modifying your car. I totally understand. I was there as well. Anyway, I hope this video was informative. I hope it helped you guys out. I hope it makes it a little bit less daunting to understand all of these things. And if you have any other ideas, please definitely let me know for videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.